喂，晚安。喂，有聲音嗎？有冇聲啊？我哋呢個係一個好安靜嘅直播。有冇人都好啦。我嚟講下我今日會做啲乜嘢。我今日係會嚟讀一個好出名嘅詩歌啦，可以咁講，就係意大利詩人寫嘅神曲。咁我就會係讀佢啦。咁就係為求令呢個直播有幾悶做到幾悶，去幫助你去入眠嘅。咁呢個直播大概會係1個鐘頭左右。咁我就會係讀佢第一個部分地獄篇裏面頭嗰幾部詩，大概4至6首左右咁樣啦。咁你重播咧，如果你好眼瞓但係瞓唔着咧，你都可以喺度重播聽，應該咧都會好悶，應該都可以幫到你瞓覺嘅。咁我哋開始讀書嘅時間啦。攞返本書出嚟先。好，我哋由第一章開始讀。我哋嚟簡介一下神曲呢一個詩集先。佢唔係詩集，佢係一首好長嘅詩，或者咁講。神曲分咗做大概3個部分。第一個部分係地獄，第二個部分係煉獄，第三個部分係天堂。加埋有100首，100段啦，或者咁講。咁就係每一個部分就有33首。咁但係因為地獄篇一開始佢仲有個類似前言嘅一首詩歌，咁所以地獄篇會有34首，加埋就100首。咁所以跟住我而家就會開始讀頭嗰幾首嘅詩。OK。Midway upon the journey of our life, I found myself within a forest dark, for the straightforward pathway had been lost. Ah, me, how hard a thing it is to say. What was this forest savage, rough and stern, which in the very thought renews the fear? So bitter is it, death is little more. But of the good to treat, which there I found, speak will I of the other things I saw there. I cannot well repeat how there I entered, so full was I of slumber at the moment in which I had abandoned the true way. But after I had reached a mountain's foot, at that point where the valley terminated, which had with consternation pierced my heart, upward I looked, and I beheld its shoulders vested already with that planet's race which leadeth others right by every road. Then was the fear a little quiet that in my heart's lake had endured throughout the night, which I had passed so piteously. And even as he who, with distressful breath, forth issued from the sea upon the shore, turns to the water perilous and gazes, so did my soul, that still was fleeing onward, turn itself back to re-behold the past which never yet a living person left. After my weary body I had rested, the way I resumed I on the desert slope, so that the firm foot ever was the lower. And lo, almost where the accents began. A panther light and swift exceedingly, which with a spotted skin was covered o'er, and never moved she from before my face. Nay, rather did impart so much my way, that many times I to return had turned. The time was the beginning of the morning, and up the sun was mounting with those stars, that with him were. What time the love divine at first in motion set those beauteous things, so were to me occasion of good hope, the variegated skin of that wild beast, the hour of time, and the delicious season, but not so much, that did not give me fear, a lion's aspect which appeared to me. He seemed as if against me he were coming, with head uplifted, and with ravenous hunger, so that it seemed the air was afraid of him, and a she-wolf that with all hungering seemed to be laden in her meagreness, and many folk has cause to live forlorn. She brought upon me so much heaviness, with a fright that from her aspect came, that I the hope relinquished of the height, and as he is who willingly acquires, and the time comes that causes him to lose, who weeps in all his thoughts and is despondent. And such made me the beast withouten peace, which, coming on against me by degrees, thrust me back thither where the sun is silent. While I was rushing downward to the lowland, before mine eyes did one present himself, who seemed from long continued silence hoarse. When I beheld him in the desert vast, have pity on me, unto him I cried, which e'er thou art, or shade or real man? He answered me, not man, man once I was, and both my parents were of Lombardy, and mountains by country both of them. Sub Julio was I born, though it was late, and lived at Rome under the good Augustus, during time of false and lying gods. A poet was I, and I sang the just son of Anchises, who came forth from Troy, after that Ilion the superb was burned. But thou, why goest thou back to such annoyance? Why climbest thou not Mounts Delectables, which is the source and cause of every joy? Now, art thou that Virgilist and that fountain, which spreads abroad so wide a river of speech? I made response to him with bashful forehead. Oh, of the other poet's honor and light, avail me the long study and great love, that have impelled me to explore thy volume. Thou art my master, and my order thou art alone the one from whom I took the beautiful style that has done honor to me. Behold the beast for which I have turned back. Do thou protect me from her, famous sad, for she doth make my veins and pulses tremble. Thee it behoveth to take another road. Responded he, when he beheld me weeping. If from this savage place thou wouldst escape, because this beast, at which thou criest out, sufferest not any one to pass her way, but so doth harass him, that she destroy him, and has a nature so malignant and ruthless, that never doth she glut her greater will, and after food is hungrier than before. Many the animals with whom she weds, and more they shall be still, until the greyhound comes, who shall make her perish in her pain. He shall not feed on either earth or pelf, but upon wisdom, and on love and virtue. Twixt Feltro and Feltro shall his nation be. Of how low Italy shall he be the saviour, on whose account the maid Camilla died. Iulus, Turnus, Nisus, of their wounds. Through every city shall he hunt her down, until he shall have driven her back to hell, there from whence envy first did let her loose. Therefore, I think and judge it for thy best, thou follow me, and I will be thy guide, and lead thee hence through the eternal place, where thou shalt hear the desperate lamentations, shalt see the anxious spirits disconsolate, who cry out each one for the second death. And thou shalt see those who contended are within the fire, because they hope to come, whene'er it may be, to the blessed people. To whom, then, if thou wishest to ascend, it so shall be, for that then I more worthy. With her at my departure I will leave thee, because the Emperor, who reigns above, in that I was rebellious to his law, wills that through me none come into his city. He governs everywhere, and there he reigns. There is his city, and his lofty throne. O happy he whom thereto he elects, and I to him, poet, I thee entreat, by that same God whom thou didst never know, so that I may escape this woe and worse, thou wouldst conduct me there where thou hast sat. There I may see the portal of Saint Peter, and those thou makest so disconsolate. Then he moved on, and I behind him followed. 我这个直播就是要让你睡觉，那没关系，没差。剛才第一首詩歌，頭先係第一首就係講詩人但丁入到去個森林入邊，佢開始佢嘅旅程，咁跟住佢就開始行入去地獄裏邊啦，就係講地獄裏邊佢究竟見到啲乜嘢。剛才詩人就講說他走進森林裡面，然後快要開始他的旅程，然後接下來就是他開始走進地獄裡面，然後描述他看到的一切。OK， 呢個係第二首。Day was departing, and the embrowned air released the animals that are on earth from their fatigues. And I, the only one, made myself ready to sustain the war, both of the way and likewise of the wall, which memory that earth not shall retrace. O muses, O high genius, now assist me, O memory, that didst write down what I saw. Here thy nobility shall be manifest, and I began, poet, who guidest me, regard my manhood, if it be sufficient, ere to the arduous path thou dost confide me. Thou sayest, that of Silvius the parent, while yet corruptible, unto the world immortal went, and was there bodily. But if the adversary of all evil was cautious, thinking of the high effects that issue would from him, and who, and what, to men of utter intellect unmeet it seems not, for he was of great Rome, and of her empire. In the imperial heaven, as father chosen, the which and what, wishing to speak the truth, was established as the holy place wherein sits the successor of the greatest Peter. Upon his journey, whence thou gavest him wound, things did he hear, which the occasion were both of his victory and the papal mantle. Thither went afterwards the chosen vessel, to bring back comfort thence unto that faith, which of salvation's way is the beginning. But I, while thither come, or who conceits it, I not Aeneas am, I am not Paul, nor I, nor others, think me worthy of it. Therefore, if I resign myself to come, I fear the coming may be ill-advised. Thou art wise, and knowest better than I speak, and as he is, who unwills that he willed, and by new thoughts doth his intention change, so that from his design he quite withdraws. Such I became, upon that dark hillside, because, in thinking, I consumed the emprise, which was so very prompt in the beginning. If I have well thy language understood, replied that shade of the magnanimous, thy soul attainted is with cowardice, which many times a man encumbers so. It turns him back from honored enterprise, as foresight doth a beast, when he is shy, that thou mayst free thee from his apprehension. I'll tell thee why I came, and what I heard. At the first moment when I grieved for thee, among those was I who are in suspense, and a fair saintly lady called to me in such voice, I besought her to command me. Her eyes were shining brighter than a star, and she began to say, gentle and low, with voice angelical, in her own language, O spirits cautious of Mantua, of whom the fame still in the world endures, and shall endure, long lasting as the world, a friend of mine, and not the friend of fortune. Upon the desert slope is so impeded upon his way that he has turned through terror, and may, I fear, already be so lost that I too late have risen to its score. From that which I have heard from him in heaven, but still thee now, and with thy speech on it, and with that what's needful is for his release, assist him so that I may be consoled. Beatrice am I, who do bid thee go. I come from there, where I would fain return. Love moved me, which compelleth me to speak, when I shall be in presence of my Lord. Full often will I praise thee unto him. Then paused she, and thereafter I began. O Lady of Virtue, thou alone through whom the human race exceedeth all contained within the heaven that has the less circles, so grateful unto me is thy commandment to obey. If it were already done, were late, no farther needest thou to me thy wish. But the cause tell me why thou dost not shun the here descending down into the centre, from the vast place thou burnest to return to, since thou wouldest fain so inwardly discern. Briefly will I relate, she answered me, why I am not afraid to enter here. Of those things only should one be afraid which have the power of doing others harm. Of the rest, no, because they are not fearful. God in his mercy such created me, that mystery of yours attains me not, nor any flames assails me of this burning. A gentle lady is in heaven, who grieveth at this impediment, to which I send thee, so that stern judgment there above is broken. And her entreaty she bestowed Lucia, and said, thy faithful one now stands in need of thee, and unto thee I recommend him, Lucia, foe of all that cruel is, has turned away, and come unto the place where I was sitting with the ancient Rachel. Beatrice, said she, the true place of God, why succourest thou not him who loved thee so? For thee he issued from the vulgar herd. Dost thou not hear the pity of his plaint? Dost thou not see the death that compassed him beside that flood, there where ocean has no want? Never were persons in the world so swift to work their will and to escape their woe, as I, after such words as these were uttered, came hither downward from my blessed seat, confiding in thy dignified discourse, which honours thee, and those who have listened to it. After she thus had spoken unto me, weeping, her shining eyes had she turned away, whereby she made me swifter in my coming, and unto thee I came, as she desired. I have delivered thee from that wild beast, which barred the beautiful mountain's short ascent. What is it, then? Why? Why dost thou delay? Why is such baseness embedded in thy heart? Darling and hardihood, why hast thou not, seeing that 3 such ladies, benedicts are caring for thee in the courts of heaven, and so much good my speech doth promise thee, even as the flowerless, by nocturnal chill, bowed down and closed, when the sun whitened them, uplift themselves all open on their stems, such I became with the exhausted strength, and such good courage to my heart there caused, that I began like an intrepid person. O she compassionate, who succored me, uncautious thou, who hast obeyed so soon the words of truth which she addressed to thee. Thou hadst my heart so with desire disposed to the adventure, with these words of thine, that to my first intent I have returned. Now go, for one sole will is in us both, thou leader, and thou Lord, and Master thou. Thus said I to him, and when he had moved, I entered in a deep and savage way. 呢個係第2首。我哋今日會讀到去第4首，就係講到呢個第2首係講到佢啱啱入到地獄啦，或者入緊地獄啦，應該咁講。開始地獄篇嘅第3首詩歌。Through me the way is to the city dolent. Through me the way is to eternal dole. Through me the way among the people lost. Justice incited my sublime creator. Created me divine omnipotence. The highest wisdom and the primal love. Before me there were no created things, only eternal, and I eternal lost. All hope abandoned, yeah, who enter in. These words in somber color I beheld written upon the summits of a gate, whence I, their sense is, master, heart to me, and he to me, as one experienced. Here I suspicion these must be abandoned. All cowardice must needs be here extinct. We to the place I have come, where I have told thee, thou shalt behold the people dolorous who have forgone the good of intellect. And after he had laid his hand on mine with joyful mien, whence I was comforted, he led me among the secret stings. Their sighs, complaints, and ululation loud resounded through the air without a star, whence I, at the beginning, but a third. Languages diverse, horrible dialects, accents of anger, words of agony, and voices high and hoarse, with sound of hands, made up a tumult that goes whirling on. forever in that air, forever black, even as the sand does. When the whirlwind breathes, and I, who had my head with horror bound, said, Master, what is this which now I hear? Which folk is this, which seems by pain so vanquished? And he to me, this miserable mold maintained the melancholy souls of those who lived without an infamy or praise. Commingled are they with that caitiff choir of angels, who have not rebellious been, nor faithful were to God, but were for self. The heavens expelled them, not to be less fair, nor them the nevermore abyss receives. For glory none the damned would have from them. And I, O Master, was so grievous is to these, that maketh damnation so sore. He answered, I will tell thee very briefly. These have no longer any hope of death, and this blind life of theirs is so debased. They envious are of every other fate. No fame of them the world permits to be. Misericord and justice both disdained them. Let us not speak to them, but look and pass. And I, who looketh again, beheld a banner, which, whirling around, ran on so rapidly, that of all pause it seemed to me indignant. And after it there came so long and train of people, there I ne'er would have believed that ever death so many had undone. When some among them and I had recognized, I looked, and I beheld a shade of them, who made through cowardice great refusal. Forthwith I comprehended, and was certain that this the sect was of the caitiff wretches, hateful to God and to his enemies. These miscreant, who never were alive, were naked, and were stung exceedingly by gadflies and by hornets that were there. These did their faces irrigate with blood, which with their tears commingled at their feet, by the disgusting worms had scattered up. And when to gazing farther, I betook me people I saw on a great river's bank, whence said I, Master, now vouchsafe to me, that I may know who these are, and what law makes them appear so ready to pass over, as I discern athwart the dusky light. And he to me, these things shall all be known to thee, as soon as our footsteps stay upon the dismal shore of Acheron. Then, with mine eyes ashamed and downward cast, fearing my words might irksome be to him, from speech refrained I till we reached the river. And lo, towards us coming in a boat, an old man, hoary with the hair of eld, crying, Woe unto you, ye souls depraved! Hope nevermore to look upon the heavens. I come to lead you to the other shore, to the eternal shades in heat and frost. And thou, that yonder standest, living soul, withdraw thee from these people who are dead. But when he saw that I did not withdraw, he said, by other ways, by other ports, thou to the shore shalt come, not here, for passage. A lighter vessel needs must carry thee, and unto him the guide. Vex thee not, Charon. It is so willed there where is power to do that which is willed, and farther question not. Thereat were quieted the flazy cheeks of him, the ferryman of the levant fen, who round about his eyes had wheels of flame. But all those souls were weary and naked, the colour changed, and gnashed their teeth together. As soon as they had heard those cruel words, God, they blasphemed, and their progenitors, the human race, the place, the time, the seed of their engendering and of their birth. Thereafter, altogether they drew back, bitterly weeping, to the accursed shore, which waiteth every man who fears not God. Charon the demon, with the eyes of glade, beckoning to them, collects them all together. Beats with his oar whoever lags behind, as in the autumn time the leaves fall low, first one and then another, till the branch unto the earth surrenders all its spoils. In similar wise, the evil seed of Adam throw themselves from that margin one by one, as signals, as a bird unto its lure. So they depart across the dusky wave, and upon the other side they land. Again on this side a new troop assembles. My son, the cautious master said to me, all those who perish in the wrath of God here meet together out of every land, and ready up they to pass over the river, because celestial justice spurs them on, so that their fear is turned into desire. This way there never passes a good soul, and hence, if Charon doth complain of thee, well mayst thou know that now what his speech imports. This being finished, all the dust campaign trembled so violently that of that terror the recollection bathes me still with sweat. The lane of tears gave forth a blast of wind, and fulminated a vermilion light, which overmastered in me every sense, and as a man whom sleep half seized I fell. 呢個第三首。好先。去到第四首詩歌，詩人講佢行到入去地獄嘅第一層，見到啲乜嘢？前面第三首係佢講佢行到去地獄嘅閘門。佢而家要行入去啦，咁樣。 我哋而家開始第4首嘅部分。Broke the deep lethargy within my head, a heavy thunder, so that I upstarted, like to a person who by force is wakened. And roundabouts I moved my rested eyes, uprisen erect, and steadfastly I gazed, to recognize the place wherein I was. True is it, that upon the verge I found me of the abysmal valley dolorous, that gathers thunder of infinite elevations, obscure, profound it was, and nebulous, so that by fixing on its depths my sight nothing whatever I discerned therein. Let us descend now into the blind world, began the poet, parted utterly. I will be first, and thou shalt second be, and I, who of its colour was aware, said, how shall I come, if thou art to me, anguish of the people below? OK， 頭先應該有啲連線問題，剛才有啲連線的問題，我繼續。The anguish of the people who are below here in my face depicts that pity which for terror thou hast taken. Let us go on, for the long way impels us. Thus he went in, and thus he made me enter the formal circle that surrounds the abyss. There, in so far as I had power to hear, were lamentations none, but only sighs. The tremulous made the everlasting air, and this arose from sorrow without torment, which the crowds had, that many were and great, of infants and of women and of men. To me, the master good, thou dost not ask what spirits these, which thou beholdest are. Now will I have thee know, ere thou go farther, that they sinned not, and if they merit had, it is not enough, because they had not baptism, which is the portal of the faith thou holdest. And if they were before Christianity, in the right manner they adored not God, and among such as these am I myself. For such defects, and not for other guilt, lost are we, and not only so far punished, that without hope we live on in desire. Great grief seized on my heart when this I heard, because some people of much worthiness I knew, who in that limbo were suspended. Tell me, my master, tell me, thou my lord, began I with desire of being certain of that faith which overcometh every error. Came anyone by his own merit hence, or by another's, who was blessed thereafter? And he, who understood my covert speech, replied, I was a novice in this state, when I saw hither come a mighty one, with sign of victory incarnate. Hence, he drew forth the shade of the first parent, and that of his son Abel, and of Noah, of Moses the lawgiver, and the obedient Abraham, patriarch, and David, king, Israel, with his father and his children. And Rachel, for whose sake he did so much, and others many, and he made them blessed. And thou must know that earlier than these never were any human spirits saved. We ceased not to advance because he spake, but still were passing onward through the forest. The forest, say I, of thick crowded goals, not very far, as yet our way had gone this side the summit, when I saw a fire that overcame a hemisphere of darkness. We were a little distance from it still, but not so far that I in part discerned not that honorable people held that place. O thou who honorest every art and science, who may these be, which such great honor have, that from the fashion of the rest it apart them, and he to me, the honorable name, the sounds of them above there in thy life, wins grace in heaven, that so advances them. In the meantime a voice was heard by me, all honor be to the preeminent poet. His shade returns again that was departed. After the voice had ceased and quiet was, 4 mighty shades I saw approaching us. Semblance had they nor sorrowful nor glad. To say to me began my gracious master, him with that falchion in his hand behold, who comes before the 3 even as their lord. The one is Homer, poet sovereign. He who comes next is Horace, the satirist. The third is Ovid, and the last is Lucan. Because to each of these with me applies the name the solitary voice proclaimed. They do me honor, and in that do well. Thus I beheld assemble the fair school of that lord of the song preeminent, who o'er the others like an eagle soars. When they together had discoursed somewhat, they turned to me with signs of salutation. And on beholding this, my master smiled. And more of honor still, much more, they did me, in that they made me one of their own band, so that the 6th was I, mid so much wit. People were there, with solemn eyes and slow, of great authority in their countenance. They spake but seldom, and with gentle voices. Thus we withdrew ourselves upon one side, into an opening luminous and lofty, so that they all of them were visible. Their opposite, upon the green animal, were pointed out to me the mighty spirits, whom to have seen I felt myself exalted. I saw Electra with companions many, amongst whom I knew both Hector and Aeneas, Caesar in armor, with falcon eyes. I saw Camilla and Penthesilea on the other side, and saw the king Latinus, who with Lavinia his daughter sat. I saw that Brutus who drove Tarquin forth, Lucretia, Julia, Marcia, and Cornelia, and saw alone, apart, the Saladin. When I had lifted up my brows a little, the master I beheld of those who know sat with his philosophic family. All gaze upon him, and all do him honor. There I beheld both Socrates and Plato, who nearer him before the other stand. Democritus, who puts the world on chance. Diogenes, Anaxagoras, and Thales, Zenos, and Empedocles, and Heraclitus. Of qualities I saw the good collectors. Hight Dioscorides, and Orpheus saw I, Tully and Livy, and moral Seneca, Euclid, geometric.哎呀 ，OBS 又死掉了。我哋從上面 OBS 又死咗啦，我哋上少少再讀歌。And Orpheus saw I, Tully and Livy, and moral Seneca, Euclid, geometrician, and Ptolemy, Galen, Hippocrates, and Phaesenna, Averroes, who the great comments made. I cannot all of them portray in full, because so drives me onward the long theme, that many times the word comes short of fact. The sixfold company into dividers. On another way, my sapiens guide conducts me, forth from the quiet to the air that trembles, and to a place I come where nothing shines. OK， 我们今天就只會念頭4首，然後我也念得像一團糟一樣。我哋今日就係會讀頭4首，但其實頭4首我已經讀到亂晒龍啦，我應該覺得自己。OK， 我們可以來按按一下，按按耳朵，按按 glitter， 按按靜止，按按 silently， 常常。嗨，我已經不會再念了，念到有點頭暈。我已經唔會再讀㗎啦，我已經讀完啦。等一陣啊。OK， 我收一收呢個先。 我已經讀完啦，我已經唔讀啦，而家先有7個人嚟睇，我已經讀完啦，我已經念完了，現在才有7個人來看。剛才是真的我一個人在念，但是你可以重播，如果你需要安眠一下的話，你可以重播前面的，但是前面OBS 有斷掉2次，所以你可能要看一下。我頭先其實我已經讀完啦，但係而家先有嚟睇啦。我讀咗唔係好耐，讀咗9個字啩。咁有一段時間係真係我自己喺度讀啦，但係如果你真係好需要安眠嘅話，你可以而家拉翻去前面讀聽咯。但係我中間 OBS 死咗2次啦，同埋我啲讀音咧又係讀到死咗咁樣咯。係，咁所以咧就係咁樣咯。IRA 初見早晨，子子早晨，讀到頭暈啊！我要認真考慮，我要再介紹一次神曲先。雖然我封面嗰度寫話我唔識讀希臘文，但係神曲係用意大利文去寫嘅。雖然我封面圖寫我不懂念希臘文，但是其實神曲是用意大利文去寫的。神曲呢係一個當時嚟講係好前衛，去表達詩人佢自己嘅神學觀嘅一套長詩咯，你可以咁講。咁裏邊係有100首嘅。咁呢，佢裏邊就分咗做3個部分啦。第一個部分就係地獄篇，第二個部分係煉獄篇，第3個部分係天堂篇。而每一個部分呢，係有33首，但係點解加埋有100首啊？因為地獄篇一開頭呢，有一首類似前言嘅嘢，就講緊佢類似蕩失路，跟住唔小心，跟住去到地獄咁樣嘅咁樣。咁所以地獄篇呢，嗰度有34首，34、33、33，所以加埋就係有100首嘅。咁頭先我讀咗頭4篇，就係講佢入咗地獄。咁地獄裏邊呢，就唔只有1層嘅。咁第4篇呢，就係講緊第1層裏邊嘅嘢。我用國語說一次，神曲，它是一首嗎？還是一套很長的詩？它裡面有100首，分成大概3個部分。第一個部分是地獄篇，第二個部分是煉獄篇，第三個部分是天堂篇。對，神曲是但丁寫的，沒有錯。然後每一個部分有33首。但是因為在地獄篇開始的時候有一首類似前言，就是說他不小心走到一個森林裡面，然後怎麼，然後就到地獄了，這樣子的一首詩。所以地獄篇那裡總共有34首，所以合共就有100首。然後地獄呢，詩人但丁他所描述的地獄呢，不只有1層。其實神曲這個是當時是很前衛的一個思想，就是寫但丁自己的神學觀念。然後其實他這樣子寫成一個故事，是因為他不能，好像他不能把他的那個看法很正常嗎？很正式的表達出來，所以他要用一種寫故事，我好像發夢做到的這種形式去把它寫出來。 所以就有神曲这一个长篇诗。然后地狱不只有一层，然后我刚才念的头4首，第4首就是在讲他在第1层地狱里面所看到的东西，他在里面看到了很多在当时对他来说很有名，很有那个叫什么，很有就做了很多有意义嘛，做了很多突破性的东西的人，尤其是哲学。他有讲到，他有在里面遇到写奥德赛 Odyssey 的荷马啊，遇到很多科学家、哲學家，就在第1層。咁頭先佢喺第1層嗰度就講佢遇到好多以前對佢嗰陣時嚟講都好重要嘅人，例如係寫 Odyssey 嘅荷馬啦，都係一個詩人嚟嘅。咁仲有好多其他嘅科學家啦嗰啲。咁咧頭先第4首嗰度我係有讀過嘅咁樣啦，係啦。咁第4首就係講第1層，第4首就是講第1層，然後後來第5首到第34首的地獄篇就是講他在第2層到第9層地獄裡面所看到嘅東西。咁有第5首，有第34首嘅地獄篇咧，就係講佢由第2層地獄去到第9層地獄睇到嘅嘢。地獄圖很好看，你說那個像倒轉的金字塔嗎？還是有點像那個刀劍神域那個艾恩格朗特的那個圖？我需要休息一下，一直念東西是會念到頭暈的。你看我是閉着眼睛，我是真的閉着眼睛在講話，因為我有點OK。咁我預告一下，我聽日呢會出一條片嘅，應該除非我突然間發現嗰條片有啲咩問題。咁嗰條片呢係同數學有關嘅，但係我揾咗一個有趣嘅題目，同 Vtuber 有關係嘅數學題目，同 Vtuber 同觀眾有關嘅數學嘅一個題目，跟住我就計咗佢出嚟咁樣，跟住我就拍咗條片咁樣。咁佢都唔係一條有趣嘅片嚟嘅，咁但係可能會幫你解答到你心裏邊嘅少少問題咯，咁樣。Yes, OK， 我知道你說那一個圖了。我可能快要休息，但是我關台之後可能要再做一下作業，那個靠腰。然後我明天晚上嗎？我應該會上傳一個影片，是跟數學有關，但是那個數學我是在做一個題目的，就是在算一個題目，但是那個題目是跟 Vtuber 跟觀眾有關的，但是基本上是只適用於香港的情況了。如果你是台灣的情況或者是其他國家的情況，那可能那個概念可以重用，但是你那個數值就會是另一個數值，所以那個影片也不會是一個有趣的影片，但可能會幫助你解答一些東西這樣子，對。但是它是很 focus 在香港的東西，所以我那個影片整個影片都會是粵語，但是而且因為我懶惰，所以我沒有下字幕。係啦，咁嗰條片咧就會係廣東話嘅片嚟嘅，咁我就冇落字幕，因為我好懶啦。咁可以期待一下，我未諗我聽日幾點 upload 佢上嚟咁樣。我仲要 check 一 check 嗰條片有冇問題咁樣咯。係啦，咁好啦，咁今日嘅直播就差唔多啦。好了，那今天的直播就差不多了。 那如果喜欢的话，就帮我按个喜欢。如果想看到我接下来的 cover， 我最少有2首啦，在我计划里面。现在想看我的 cover 的话，可以订阅我。OK， 我不强求你把小铃铛打开，因为每个人都要你把小铃铛打开的话，你会很烦，我知道。所以你喜歡就好。係，咁我聽日，我講緊啲乜嘢？係啦，如果中意條片，如果中意我嘅直播咧，咁啊不妨幫我撳個 like 啦。如果想追蹤我嘅 channel 啦，即係我之後我 planning 裏邊已經有2首 cover 噶啦。咁如果有期待嘅話，可以撳 subscribe 啦。咁我都唔咁嗰個 long 咧，我就唔逼你哋撳啦，因為咧，如果個個都叫你撳 long 咧，咁咧你個手機咧就會收到好多 notification 啦，咁你就會好煩啦。咁所以你中意撳就撳，唔中意撳就唔好撳咯，就係咁樣啦。OK， 那今天的直播就到這裡啦，今日嘅直播就去到呢度。OK，拜拜。